Hi friends, welcome to Her Home and Harvest. My name is Alana if we have not met before. Today we're just going to be going over the changes I made to my irrigation system this year. I accidentally deleted the intro to this video that I filmed a few months ago when I got this whole process started. So I am going to kind of take you back in time with me as we install some of the changes, and we're going to go through that process together, and then I will meet you back here, modern day, which is June, and we'll just kind of recap everything that's been done. Well, I'm looking back at this footage right now and I can't believe I actually started this project back in February. So that's what you're looking at right now. And I had planned on doing this entire project in about a week or two, but you know, life gets in the way. And it rained so much February, March, and April, and honestly even in May, that I didn't have to prioritize it too much, but I am here currently in June, very, very happy that I got it done. So the big changes included this timer you see me installing right now. I had an old timer on there that had one zone, and so I went ahead and bought one that had three because I added the 3 new planters. If you guys have seen those in my previous videos, it has been so helpful in helping to increase the water pressure by changing it into 3 zones. Each zone gets more pressure than it would if I was trying to water these all at once. And then I also installed these 2 split emitters on that tubing you can see there. There is each zone has 2 tubes coming out of it, and that has helped a lot as well, just kind of dividing that pressure in half. As opposed to just running one line and then splitting it at some point. This way, each 1/4-inch tubing can remain, pretty decent in its water pressure. One of the other main changes that I made this year was running this irrigation up and over along the top of my patio, and boy, has that been a game changer. I am so happy with it. It doesn't look amazing. It's not like I never actually made it super neat, but it looks so much better than it did when it was all along the floor and people were tripping on it and I was tripping on it, and it was also just in the way. When leaves would blow, it would catch on it. And so far it's been up for many months now, so since February, and I have not had any complaints about running it up and over. My husband certainly is happy I made that change as well. So here in February, I was just kind of getting the main lines set up. So I think you just saw me stick just 2 emitters in one of those planters, and I'm definitely going to need more than that in each of these planters. But I just went ahead and starting in February, got the lines run and at least something attached to them, because one of the things I love about how I have this irrigation system set up is that it's really easy to customize and change with time. So if I want to add another emitter, I can just cut the tubing, stick in a little T connector, and then add more. And if I need, to extend a line, I can do that. If I need to shorten it, I can do it. If I need to swap out what kind of emitter it is, it's just really easy to customize this. I know I've been using this for years, but it's still, from day one, was really easy for me to kind of adjust on my own. I'm definitely going to need to add in a few different things in there and probably change it when it comes to changing out the winter stuff for the spring stuff. But for now, I have the guts of it set up. I got the hard part done, and the wasps are chasing me out of here. So I am going to leave and live to fight another day. All right. Maybe in a week or two. We'll see. All right, so I'm pretty sure it's been over a month since the last time I recorded anything for our irrigation system. We had a crazy amount of rain, and then so I just didn't really need to prioritize getting it done. So we're back at it today. It's the middle of April, and I am going to do my best to just get as much as done as I can. I know it's not going to be done today. I only have about a half an hour, so let's see what we can do in 30 minutes. I don't think I'm actually going to get any irrigation started. It's just going to be starting to get the infrastructure more in place. So let's see what we can get done this time. So one of the main things I did on this day was actually repurpose my old irrigation system. So I had pulled everything that was on the patio, and I had just thrown it in the back hill as you saw me grab it from, and now I'm going in and pulling off all of the emitters that I'm able to salvage and keeping as much of the tubing that I'm able to salvage. So I just want to say, you might spend a little bit of money right from the get-go to put this stuff in, but it does last. So I've had most of this tubing and these emitters since 2020 have been in place. And unless they were sitting like 100% out in the sun, they survived really well. One recommendation I will make is, if you live in an area like I do that is really sunny and really dry and really hot, make sure that you don't get those like bright, cheap, flimsy emitters. I had a few of those. They were like bright pink or bright red or something like that, and one, they were sun bleached, and two, the sun just destroyed the little caps on the emitters, and they all broke off in like the first year. So these black ones have made a big difference. They're a little bit better quality. I can link the emitters themselves because I love them. The tubing, for the most part, also survived the test of time. Over 3 years, there were only a few small chunks of tubing that I had to throw away because they were, too damaged by the sun. But most of the part, anything that I had to get rid of, it was because they were too small, or I wasn't able to get the emitters off of them. Anything that I really lost, it was just because I wasn't able to disconnect something. So for the most part, I was able to salvage all of it, which was very helpful. If you didn't watch last year's video, the way I have my back hill set up is that I have a 1/2-inch tubing running along the bottom of my hill. And what I do is I just connect 1/4-inch tubing to that 1/2-inch tubing, and then run that little line to each individual plant. And then I also run that line up to the planter at the top of the hill. I also have a 1/2-inch tubing running up the middle of the hill, and that is going for watering my trees. So if you saw earlier, I connected to this bottom of the hill tubing and ran it all the way up to that big planter at the top. And that's because I want it to be watered when my stuff at the bottom of the hill is being watered. I don't water my trees as frequently, so I didn't want to pull it from that 1/2-inch line. And one of the benefits of using that 1/2-inch tubing is that you really don't lose any water pressure at all. And even running up the hill, I haven't had any issues with it. And actually the ones going up and over the patio, I haven't had any issues losing water pressure either. So I've been really happy with doing both of those this way. I have these drip line running up and over. I know it's not pretty. I'll probably have to tidy it up later. But it's running up and over and coming down to each section. So this section here has its own, and there's no drip line running between the two. So it comes over and then it comes down again on this pole and goes to this little cluster here, and then it comes down this pole here and does this little cluster of planters as well. So hands down, my favorite thing about what I did this year was running this up and over. Most people aren't looking up, and I mean, excuse how dirty that is, but for the most part, it just kind of blends in with the lighting we have up there, and it's pretty inconspicuous compared to what I had last year. If you saw mine last year, this is the extra that I pulled, so that's all going to go away. But there was lines coming from here to here and all the way across, and you could trip on it just about everywhere you went. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. And then over here, I have harvested and replanted a couple of times, I think, since I started recording the setup footage that you probably have seen. But this is what it looks like now, and I think for the most part this is where these are going to live, because I added ones in right where I'm going to plant things in just a couple of weeks, I think. These two are on one zone. This planter and this first section are another zone, and then this section here with these is on a zone with that cluster over there. If you didn't see last year's irrigation video, I essentially showed you guys that I have this 1/2-inch tubing coming off of one of my valves over there, and then I just plug in 1/4-inch tubing to go to whatever it is that I'm going to plant that year. Basically the same setup as last year, and doing really well. I'm very happy with the setup. I'll bring you in close. These are hands down my favorite emitters. I got them on Amazon. I'll link them down below. And I went ahead and bought another set this year because I just really like them. I like them because they stake in and they hold right where they need to be. If you guys have a different setup, I'd love to hear it. What are the pros and cons of it? I know a lot of people use, wow, I'm blanking on what it's called, but it looks kind of like a flat tape. But let me know if you've used that kind of irrigation or something else that you really prefer to these emitters. I really like these because you can adjust to them and you can put it directly where you need it. So I'm not wasting water. Here in Southern California, that's really important because it gets hot. Oh, look, my daughter was planting rocks in the garden. It's hilarious. So I'm gonna go put these back where they belong. So that is it. That is what we have changed this year. I'm so happy with the changes. The biggest change that made the most difference to me was, I know this looks messy here, but was having the irrigation tubing going up and over my patio, so that way I'm not tripping over cables. It was a big issue last year. And what happens is if you trip close enough to these right here, they actually just pop right out, though honestly these are in tight and I'm not sure if they would do that. But we would have people come through constantly tripping over them and not realizing that they had accidentally disconnected the line, so when I turned it on next it would spray everywhere. So this is a huge help. And then having this go on to 3 zones, because now that we added in this whole section over here, it really has helped with the water pressure, which is a huge deal when you're dealing with irrigation. If you have really, really low water pressure, especially for those emitters, some of the emitters just don't get any water pressure at all. So that helped a lot. So I don't know if this gave you any ideas or inspiration for your own garden, but I'm really happy with the changes that I made, and I hope that you're happy with the changes that you're making each year. I would love to know how you guys are doing it. If you have a better way, tell me, maybe I'll add it on next year. So anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me here in the garden, and I will see you next time. Bye.